Welcome to my $100,000 stock experiment, year 2, week 4, ending May 10th, 2019. This isn't an endorsement to purchase any stocks that I've bought, nor an endorsement to purchase stocks in general. I'm just sharing my stock journey with you. Learn from my mistakes and celebrate my successes. I'm on a mission to become a great can slim growth stock investor. I want to see if I can reach my $200,000 goal in year 2. My focus is on stock selection, buying, and managing my portfolio, and I'm going to continue to practice and refine my sell rules that I set in year 1. According to the IBD, the market went into uptrend under pressure on Tuesday, May 7th. I did put that number 1 arrow on the day that it crossed into uptrend under pressure. That means that the IBD suggests you're cautious about any purchases and really keep an eye on any of your stocks. Trim them if you can. Sell what's not performing well, but basically it's a time of caution. I do have those blue lines drawn were areas of resistance that I identified several weeks ago, and it had been above that 29.12, but on that Tuesday it did fall below my other mark there, which was around 28.60. I don't see the exact number, and it did go below that, but it kept above my first area of resistance at 28.17. So market's not super happy right now. The volatility index also spent all week above that 16 mark, which is where I like to see the volatility below 16. All week it was above that mark. I did sell 3 stocks this week, and I did make 1 purchase. The sold holdings bar chart shows you the stocks that I've sold and how they've performed over each of the weeks that I've held them and how long that I've held those stocks. So 5 I've held for 4 weeks. It was doing really well and then it tanked. And HEXO I bought last week and sold this week. What a disappointment this stock was. 5 below. I had 3 purchases in this stock. The first one had been up almost 8%, and I did sell it for a small gain of 0.6%, $59. My buy 2, I took a 1.8% loss. I'd held that stock for 16 days, and I lost $109. And then the third purchase I had held for 11 days, and I lost 4.5% or $181. Remember that my buy 1, 2, and 3 all have different position sizes. My buy 1 I purchased $10,000 with, the buy 2 I purchased $6,000 worth, and the buy 3 I purchased $4,000 worth. HEXO, I held the stock for 4 days and I lost just about 8%. This was a new issue stock. It's IPO'd earlier this year in January, and I was in and out of this in less than a week. And reviewing it, I definitely bought at the wrong buy point. The pivot point is actually where I should have been buying it was actually my sell line. I've been talking about trading IPOs with one of my friends who also does stocks, and I wanted to try my hand at it. So I'm going to share with you what I'm doing and what basic rules I'm following. So first of all, you want to see an IPO that has lots of volume on the IPO day and that it closes high in that range. Then you have to sit back and wait for the stock to go up and then hopefully pull back. Some of these IPOs just keep going up and I don't see a good point to get in, but be patient and wait for an IPO base to form. Then when the stock, after it bases, it starts going back up, you want to buy it at the prior high plus 10 cents, but you really need to see this increased volume. And then I set my floor at 8%. So if it goes down 8% from my purchase price, I'd get out of it. So I did buy Tradeweb this week. So its IPO date was April 4th, and the price action for that day is on number 1, and the volume is number 2. It had 32 million shares that traded that day, and you can see that it substantially dropped off because the IPO date is going to have huge volume. The IPO price was 27, but the stock opened well above that at 34.26. You can see that up at above number 3. And then the close for the day is at number 4 at 35.81. And it did close in the high end of the range. It wasn't at the absolute high for the day, but it was towards the top. Then the stock continued to go up. It went up for 8 days for a gain of 22%. And I measured this from the high to the high of the day. I don't know exactly how you're supposed to measure it, but that's how I measured it for this calculation. Then the stock came down and it went sideways, consolidating for 17 days before it started to go back up. The volume on the IPO day skews this chart a little bit, so you really can't see the fluctuation of the days following that. So I changed this chart to a 1-month chart, and now you can see the volume. It doesn't have 4.4 on there anymore. This starts at 4.11. So now you can see how the volume fluctuates. So the proper buy point of this would have been the high from April 15th, which was 44.25 plus 10 cents. But I bought it a little early on 5/10 at 41.97, and you can see down in the volume section that little black dot is on the bar all the way to the right, which means the data on this chart is showing for that day 5/10, and the volume was over a million, where the average volume for this stock is 800,000. So I did buy it on an up volume day. Now that I have an IPO stock in my portfolio, you can watch how this stock grows and performs and when I end up selling it. My current holdings bar chart shows the performance of my stocks over the weeks. Each bar represents 1 week. That yellow line at 9,200 is my floor. I don't want any stock to be going below that. And the 10,000 dash line is the approximate value that I purchased of each stock. Then I rate my stocks weakest to strongest. My idea is if I take care of my weakest stocks, the strong stocks will take care of themselves. TWLO is my weakest stock. I've held this stock for 30 days and it's up 5.6%. And it is sort of going up and down. It's not really making a lot of forward progress. CyberArk, this stock I've held for 43 days and it's up 12%. I do have my floor moved up to my 50-day simple moving average, and this stock has come down a couple times to touch that 28-day exponential moving average. So it doesn't have a lot of upward momentum right now. The progress that it made previously was closer to my buy time. So the last, 2 weeks, this stock has pretty much been going sideways. Coupa, I have 2 buys in this stock. One I've held for 11 days and it's up 2.3%, and one I've held for 10 days and it's down just 0.2%. I did leave my floor at last week's 28-day exponential moving average. Tradeweb, I've held this stock for 1 day and it's up 2.5%. ATR, I've held this stock for 29 days and it's up 5.8%, and I did move my floor up to that 28-day exponential moving average. My best stock is Ollie. I'm calling this my shining star. It's moving up nice and steady. I've held it for 25 days and it's up 12.3%, and I did raise my floor up to that 28-day exponential moving average. So my current gains sorted with my loser on the top, or my lowest gain. Coupa is up there on the top. I've held that for 3 weeks, and I've made more money in TW in 1 day than I've made in 3 weeks with Coupa. And the best stock down at the bottom in terms of the largest gain is Cyber, but Ollie's really performing better. I've held it less time and it's up just about the same amount. I also look at my holdings, the percentage gain for the week, and I sort those by the lowest to the highest. So CyberArk was down 2.5% this week, Coupa was down 0.9%, and ATR was down 0.2%. TW, TWLO, and Ollie all had nice gains for the week. At the end of year 2, week 4, my portfolio is up 21.6% versus the S&P 500 at 8.4%. At the end of week 4, I have $51,824 and ways that I can spend that money. I can make a buy 2 in a stock that I just bought, make a buy 3 in that stock or in Coupa, or I could just purchase new stocks, or I could just hold it. I don't have to take action. Industry breakdown for the week shows that I'm still heavily concentrated in the software area. And I've included my weekly tracker, but all it's really showing is that I'm not making much progress. And I did sell positions this week, 2 for wins, but the largest gain was $59. So my total gain was $100 on those 2. So very tiny gains. And then my loss was almost 8%, $765. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my next episode, or better yet, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell if you want alerts when I post a new episode.